So why don't CEOs lead from their heart? Why don't they tell their people how much they love the company and their team and their people and what they stand for? Why don't they? My experience as an HR executive is I call it the tale of two cultures, meaning I've been in very healthy cultures and I've been in what I call toxic cultures. And so, the world changed this year. And so I get asked a lot, do we have healthy cultures anymore? Are people excited about work? Are they happy working virtually? Or are they just stressed out of their mind working virtually? And the answer is yes and yes. Some folks are really thriving in the remote virtual work environment, and others, my observation is women with families and children and a lot of responsibilities where their kids couldn't go to school. That was really tough. It is really tough. So some folks are experiencing joy, but right now I don't see a lot of that this year. So I get joy from a lot of things. Right now, the coolest joyful thing in my life is my 2.5-year-old grandson. He is just stinking cute. And he's got the verbal skills of a 5 or 6-year-old kid. It's just unbelievable. He just gives me such joy. So why don't CEOs lead from their heart? Why don't they tell their people how much they love the company and their team and their people and what they stand for? Why don't they? Now, they may do that in a PowerPoint presentation, and they do, and they'll do that with investors, and they do, but that's just a really pretty sterile conversation. So why don't they? I think it has to do with vulnerability. More for men, by the way, in just my experience, that it feels weak to be vulnerable to a lot of people. And it's not. It's courageous. And but I think it's programming, Cheryl, that maybe men grew up more with than women. I'm not sure about that, but men aren't supposed to be emotional. In fact, there's an old saying that's been around longer than I have: is don't let them see you sweat, right? And so, you know how that shows up in a boardroom or an executive meeting that I've been in many, many, many of? There's this competition to be the smartest guy in the room. And that's all about ego. That's all about me. That ain't about us. And so maybe there's a lot of barriers, but I think the big one is vulnerability. So who would I give this containerless love to? I think it's everybody we interact with. Sometimes it's just a kind word. So this chair of joy, before I came here, I'm wondering, what is this thing? And so, even though I've seen you on Zoom calls and stuff, I didn't quite get the concept. But now I've been sitting here with you. It was really a cool experience, and it just reminded me that any chair can be a chair of joy. It's probably a cool idea to have a designated one at home, so that's your kind of your safe place. It's just your place to feel good, a meditative place, whatever you call it. But I think sitting in the chair of joy is just taking you to a different place, taking you out of the craziness, the news, just all the things that are going on in the world that are just so incredibly stressful, dysfunctional, a lot of words to apply to it. So I think we all need a place to go to get away from all that stuff and just sit and think about who am I, and maybe something even simpler than that. Think about my grandson. Think about my grown sons. Think about my wife. Think about the clients that I really enjoy working with. Think about those knuckleheads I went to high school with a long time ago that give me joy. And so having a chair like this, to me, is takes you to a different place.